Hello and welcome to Alive with Amanda. Today we're going to be talking about Google AdWords and if they are really expensive. And so whenever I do consulting with people and they're like, hey, I need more referrals, more referrals. The first thing I always recommend is doing Google AdWords if they're trying to drive a lot of referrals, especially for group practices. They are very effective for solo practices too, especially private pay practices, but they're extremely, extremely effective for group practices. Even though we accept insurance, we still do Google AdWords to drive traffic for high ticket items like testing. And then to make sure that we get high quality leads for other things that we do, like anxiety, depression, couples, children, and trauma. So those are sort of like the 6 AdWords that we run. And then we also do AdWords for our psychiatric RNP. So really we have, about 7 subsets of AdWords running at every time for all of our locations that we offer those services. And then we turn them on and off depending on how much we, how full we are. So if we don't have any room for testing, we turn the testing AdWords off. If we have room for testing, we turn the AdWords on. And so it's all based on location and keywords. And I was playing with Keyword Planner the other day, just kind of looking in different areas. I was doing some market research. And I looked in our area. I compared it with New York City. I compared it with Los Angeles, like these markets that were really like you would think that the AdWords were very expensive. We're always told they're very expensive. And I was pleasantly surprised to find that they really were not that expensive per keyword. They were really kind of comparable to South Florida. It wasn't like New York City wasn't any more expensive than South Florida, let's call it. And yes, these are metropolitan areas. They are, high cost of living. And so they're comparable in some ways and not comparable in other ways. When I was looking up New York City, I was like shocked, like how many people, like when you put in New York City, like it's like 26 million people. I'm like, wow, it's like wild. And so I would recommend that if you don't already have a Google AdWords account, that you at least create an account. It's free to create so that you can play with the functions that they have. My favorite thing to do and what I was doing was I was looking up search volumes in different areas. And this is how we decide, one way we decide what we're going to advertise in a certain market, whether it's worth it for us to go into that market. And we also look at the competition. And so you're able to do a lot of that right in Google AdWords. And then there's a keyword planner. So what I was doing was I was looking up keywords in certain areas and seeing how much search volume there was. And I've talked about this before, and everybody always says couples counseling, couples counseling, couples counseling. And we found when we switched over to couples therapy, which is searched way more in most markets than couples counseling, we're able to really optimize our ads that we utilize. And so we changed all of our vernacular on our website to couples therapy. I was really surprised how many people in New York City were searching for cognitive behavioral therapy. When I looked in Los Angeles, way less people were looking for cognitive behavioral therapy. I could do a whole video on why I think that was, but that was very interesting, especially for our practice. For instance, we are really cognitive behavioral therapy heavy. A lot of our practitioners are trained in that. And a lot of people are looking for that in our area. So we market for that. I was like, oh, you could easily market for this in New York. But if you were in Los Angeles and you're a CBT therapist, you're probably not going to be as busy as you would be in the other markets. And so you can look at how much things are searched for in your area. And then you can see whether if you were to buy AdWords, whether the competition would be low, medium, or high. The CBT one was low, and I was like, man, I need to open up a CBT practice in New York City. And then it'll tell you like the low end and the high end of the cost for the ads. And so it was just really fascinating for even me, somebody who does AdWords. We pay a company to do our AdWords. We don't do our AdWords ourselves, but it's fascinating to see how much, cost varies in different areas. And so if you are ever wondering about it, definitely get that Google AdWords account, and then you can play with the keyword planner to look in your area. I'm going to talk to you about hiring a company to do your AdWords to really reduce costs. But first, I want to thank our sponsor, TherapyNotes. If you're looking for an electronic health record that is really one that is on the cutting edge of things, just this week they came out with customizable release of information. They're constantly updating their platform. They're constantly listening to their customers, giving us what we want, what we need. They are coming out with assessments all the time that you can send your clients. They have a telehealth option that they've been working on to make sure that it, again, meets the needs of you and your clients. You can bill insurance through there. You can take credit cards through there. They have a client portal. I can keep going and going and going. You should definitely check them out and all the features that they offer, including one thing that is talked about a lot, but it's really not valued, I think, as much, is the customer support that they offer. This week, I'm like, oh, I have to call TherapyNotes and ask this question and get some clarification. And I love that. I'm like, oh, I dread making a phone call, but I'm like, I love that I can call them, right? It doesn't have to just be email support, that I can get a live person that can walk me through the thing that I need them to walk me through. And it is fantastic. So that is a real life story of how their customer service will be helpful to me this week when I finally pick up the phone and call them. So thank you to our sponsor, TherapyNotes. So a lot of people ask me, should I just do my AdWords myself? Because I kind of know what I'm doing. And if you really, really know what you're doing, go for it. But if you don't like to waste money, don't do it yourself. Because a lot of the times the people that ask me hey, should I do my AdWords myself? I look at their website and their website is not optimized for AdWords. They don't have service pages. They don't have titles. They don't have any sort of basic SEO there. They drive all their traffic to their homepage. And I'm like, no, do not do AdWords yourself. Hire a company, have somebody that can guide you in setting up your website to make sure that it's optimized for AdWords. Then create a budget with them. There's usually two costs. One, there's a cost to set up your AdWords, and then there's a cost directly to Google for the ads that you purchase. Depending on how complex your AdWords are, there might be a third cost to manage your AdWords. But again, I told you we have 6 locations and 7 different things that we do. We pay somebody to manage our AdWords, but it's more than worth it because of the complexity that we have. But if you're a single location, you're just setting up simple AdWords, I wouldn't necessarily pay somebody monthly to manage that. But every company is different in how they do it. So I do recommend that you find a professional company that understands mental health to help you run your AdWords. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you in the new year, everybody. Bye.